Hi, I'm Will from Venture to Roam, and on this channel, we go on epic adventures in the American Northwest. We do rig modifications and gear reviews, and we just celebrate the overlanding lifestyle. But today, we're talking about personal protection. Personal protection is for the elements, is for the wildlife, and is also for the people that you might run into when you're out in remote locations. So when it comes to weather as a threat to our person, the way we think about it is, we have gear that can be waterproof. If it's windy, we have gear that can sustain a lot of wind. And if it's really, really bad, we can always get inside our rig, get inside the Jeep, and outlast a storm. But the nice thing is about overlanding is that you have a vehicle, and for the most part, unless it's really severe weather, you can just leave. But I think the planning is the most important part. Being aware of the information, being aware of the weather and what's coming will help keep you from getting into a dangerous weather situation. So when you're out in remote locations, wildlife can be a threat to you. And in Idaho, the biggest predators we have are wolves, mountain lions, and bears. And those three different categories of animals can be very dangerous in the right situation or in the wrong situation. If we're in a place where we know there's predator activity like that, we adjust our camp. We adjust how we organize our camp. We adjust the rules of camp for our kids. We adjust what we eat and how we dispose of any waste and the smells that we create. Those things, I think, are probably the number one thing you can do to mitigate the risks from those animals, because they're generally coming into your camp for food. And if you're there between them and their food, or if they see you as food, but the smells brought them in, you've got a problem. And then if you do run into one of those types of animals in the wild, they each behave differently. So wolves behave differently than mountain lions, than bears. And so we just try to understand what we should do if and when we run into those animals. You know, if you run into a black bear, for instance, it's very different than running into a grizzly bear. If you run into a pack of wolves, it's very different than running into a mountain lion, which you will probably never really run into because they're ambush hunters. So mountain lions will get you from behind. So you just have to be kind of mindful if you're in mountain lion territory. If there are other prey running through your camp, just be really, really on alert and make sure that your kids stay close to the fire. That's how we think about wildlife and personal protection with those threats that exist in wildlife. Now I'll talk about personal protection when it comes to people. I think the number one thing that we think about is de-escalation of a situation. If there's conflict with somebody else out in a remote part of Idaho, the best thing that we can do is just not have a conflict. No camping spot, no piece of property is really worth a conflict that gets to the point of danger. This just happened the other day. Somebody rolled up on us in camp, and they had a mining claim to where we were, and it looked like it was kind of heading towards a conflict. We just said, we'll go. This is yours. No problem. We'll pack up. We'll leave, because that conflict is unpredictable, and we can remove ourselves from that threat just by removing ourselves entirely. If there is a real threat, we have a firearm that we carry with us at all times. And it's pretty safe to assume that everyone else has a gun too. So sometimes showing a firearm actually escalates a situation when that's the last thing that's needed. I think that most situations can be handled by empathy and communication and giving. I think that can handle most situations. Really, it has to get down to a point where there's zero other options to save my life or the lives of my family in order for that to be something that should be used. And for those of you watching, please come check out Venture to Roam. We'd love to have you see our videos. And if you want to stay a while, you can be a subscriber too. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.